What in the world?
This being Renan territory, I was prepared for a lot of things to look different. But this is a bit more than I anticipated.
The very foundations of the city have shifted. What could have caused this?
When Lenegis changed shape, it must have had an effect on the interior too.
Maybe when they sent the wedge down to Dahna?
But they wouldn't move around the places where people live. These are their homes, right?
I would think the citizens themselves didn't have much say in the matter. Either way, locating the Forbidden Zone just became that much trickier.
Dohalim? Is that you?
Avakir, I'm glad to see you're well.
So it is you! But why are you here? Shouldn't you be down on Dahna participating in the crown contest? And these people!
So you haven't heard what happened on Dahna, then?
Heard what?
Someone you know?
An old friend.
Hey, Dohalim, don't tell me you've started keeping company with...
They're with me. More importantly, what's happened here?
I'm really not sure. The city's foundations began to shift without warning, and now everything looks like this. We're all waiting for the Sovereign to tell us what's happening, but so far...
Avakir, listen to me. We're looking for the Forbidden Zone. Do you have any idea where we might find it?
The Forbidden Zone? What business could you possibly have there?
Trust me. The less you know, the better.
You're just the same as ever. I wish I could help, but what with the changed topography, I can barely locate my own home. Let alone the Forbidden Zone.
Very well. It looks like we'll have to find the way there ourselves.
Have you seen Faria yet?
No.
I see. Well, nothing much has changed with her. If anything, she's probably even more...
I can well imagine.
Why did you come back? You know it can only result in pain for you both.
I've no doubt of that.
You really are the same as ever. Fine, I understand. Just don't say I didn't warn you. And take care of yourself. Okay, Do?
So who's Faria?
Law?
If what Avakir said is true, it would seem the people of Lenegis are being kept in the dark about what's happening down on Dahna.
They seem to be just as clueless about what's going on up here in their own world. Despite the fact that it's actually here that the wedge originally came from.
We need more information. Let's talk to the citizens, see what we can find out.
While we're at it, we can ask them about the Red Woman, too.
And don't forget about finding the way to the Forbidden Zone either.
Let's leave the talking to Shion. We can't have a bunch of Dahnans poking their noses around.
Good idea. I think that's for the best.
I shall assist.
You sure?
Being a lord on Lenegis has its advantages.
Right. Then we'll leave it to you two.
What could be so important? It's worth destroying people's livelihoods and homes in the process. It's just... unbelievable. Uprooting an entire city as if it were mere building blocks. Someone's got an awful lot of questions to answer.
From how it looks, they must be siphoning off astral energy from Dahna, and then sending it to Rena.
But why do all this? What for? Surely they can't be using all that energy for the crown contest.
Whatever their purpose, disrupting their siphoning process alone won't be sufficient. Not while we still don't know what their endgame is.
He's right. We need to stop this from happening ever again.
This Forbidden Zone might be where we find some answers, right? So what are we waiting for? Let's get moving!
You heard him. We don't have time to stop and chat. Let's move.
So, I've been wondering, do you think when Lenegis was built, it was even made with people living here in mind?
What do you mean?
Well, none of this happened by coincidence, right? They must have designed it to transform like this. But then, if they knew people were going to live here, you'd think they would have taken that into consideration, to avoid all this chaos.
Ordinarily, yes. You'd think so. Trust me, as far as we were concerned, Lenegis was our home, nothing more. No one knew about all this. It makes you wonder whether the city was just built on as an afterthought. But if so, to what exactly?
Sorry. That probably sounded weird, huh?
Not at all. Sometimes it takes an outsider's eye to help you notice what you've been missing all along. This place is a mystery, that's for sure. Something tells me we'll find answers where we're going, though.
Yeah, you're right, Shion. I'm sure we will.
Oh, dear me. What an unspeakable mess this has all become. Just look at the state of our city. Even the Zeugles have stopped heeding our commands. Whatever did we do to deserve this?
You really have no clue what might have caused this?
Would that I have. Alas, there was no warning, no prior decree. His Highness must have deemed it unnecessary for us to know. We have no choice but to grin and bear it. But do my eyes deceive me? Could I really be standing in the presence of his lordship, Dohalim of the House Ilkaris? I believed he was on Dahna.
Your eyes do not deceive you. It is I, one and the same. I have returned to fulfill a special duty, the details of which I cannot divulge.
As your lordship wishes. First Lenegis mutates beyond recognition, now this unexpected visit. The Sovereign's plans are inscrutable indeed. The Ilkaris house has produced a great many lords over the centuries. I shall be praying for your victory in the latest crown contest.
Your good wishes do me an honor.
Everything will be okay now.
I know the basics of healing arts, but my skills pale in comparison.
Lordship. Oh, what a great honor it is to finally meet you. I descended to Dahna during the last crown contest also. Alas, when the contender I was backing failed to clinch the title, I returned. I witnessed the deaths of so many slaves.
Indeed.
Sorry to interrupt, but we're looking for a woman dressed all in red. Have you seen anyone of that description?
All red, eh? No, I can't say I remember anyone like that. I imagine she'd stand out somewhat, too.
Yeah. What about down on Dahna during the crown contest? You didn't see anyone like that hanging around the lord you were serving?
What's with all these questions? I've never seen her, okay? Not recently or otherwise. Why do you want to find her anyway?
Never mind. Forget I asked. Sorry to take up your time. Is everything okay? You look a little lost.
Oh, yes. I can't seem to find my way home, is all. I was just about to make my umpteenth attempt at a new route.
I was hoping to head this way myself. The situation is a real pain, huh?
I suppose the Sovereign knows best. I daren't stay here too long, though. A lower caste can only linger around these parts for so long before I outstay my welcome. I was hoping to avoid it, but maybe I'll have to go that way after all.
You mean you know another way round?
Lord Dohalim Ilkaris! But how? Last I heard, you were in Dahna competing in the crown contest.
Yes, strange, isn't it? If you know another route, we'd be grateful if you could tell us.
But of course. Please forgive me. There's a wall that sprung up ahead of here, with what looks to be an entrance in it. I thought maybe it was a passageway between the different quarters, but I've no way of knowing for sure.
It's worth investigating, at least. I shall go and assess the situation. In the meantime, wait for me here. If it looks safe, I'll come and let you know.
You'd really do that for me? A lord troubling himself for someone of my lowly status?
Our lot in life is of little consequence. We are both Renan, first and foremost.
Oh, why yes, my lord. Thank you.
Well, we've canvassed the city for information. What do you think?
No one has the faintest idea what's happened to the city after all. They haven't heard the news about the crown contest either.
You'd think that info would easily find its way up here. Has it always been like that?
Not to this extent. Which would indicate that something's suppressing the truth. That Lenegis is under some kind of control.
Given everything that's happened to their city, the people here seem weirdly okay with it all.
Yeah, that one guy even said his Zoogle had stopped listening to him. If that's true, these people are in big trouble.
Everything that happens here is attributed to the Sovereign's will. It's the way people have been conditioned. Their belief runs deep. Nothing happens devoid of a reason. To them, it's all part of the Sovereign's grand plan.
The Sovereign's plan. There is one thing I'm still not sure about. Just who is this person ruling over Lenegis?
The Sovereign, of course. He rules from Rena while presiding over both Rena and Lenegis.
Without the lords or anyone in the middle doing his dirty work? Isn't Rena at least the same size as Dahna? That's a pretty big dominion for one person to rule over. I would have thought ruling Lenegis alone would be difficult enough.
The points you make are valid, though I confess I'd never given it much thought before. Here, the Sovereign's total authority is as natural as night turning to day. Come to think of it, I know nothing of the nature of how Rena itself is. Shion, have you ever been... No, forgive me. Have you met or crossed paths with, or even heard of someone who's actually made a visit to the homeland?
No, I haven't.
Neither have I. In which case, I would imagine that... But no, surely not. Can it really be that no citizen of Lenegis has ever been there?
Hold up, what are you getting at, Dohalim?
Assuming what I believe to be correct, it's possible that no one on Lenegis has ever laid eyes on the actual Renan homeworld itself. No one but the Sovereign, that is.
But what about trade and communication? There's got to be a flow back and forth, surely.
Not if the Sovereign is imposing his will on Lenegis single-handedly. It could be a one-way street.
But I thought you said that the Sovereign's all the way over on Rena. If that's the case, can he really rule directly over Lenegis from so far away? What if something were to happen to the city, like now?
I'm beginning to wonder what the nature of this Sovereign even is. Alphen said he was forced into the role, right? Just before the ceremony. But Sovereign is also the title given to the almighty Renan ruler. So which one is it?
Whoever wins the crown contest inherits the throne from his or her predecessor, before becoming ruler over all of Rena and Lenegis. Thereafter, that individual is known as the Sovereign. Though, it would appear that the current ruler has gone silent. As for how Volron factors into all this, at this point, I no longer know what to believe.
3 centuries ago, I became the Sovereign here on Lenegis. No, not just became, I was forced to. Me, a Dahnan. 300 years later, we cross paths with Volron, who also bears the Sovereign's crest. That's not the only thing we have in common. We both became Sovereign without winning the crown contest.
Do you think Volron was made Sovereign for the same reason? Because of that ceremony?
I can't say for sure, but it certainly sounds like it.
But that would mean that 2 sovereigns would need to exist at any one time. One whose job it is to rule, and the other for ceremonial purposes. We never did see Volron's body back in Ganath Haros. Is a new ceremony underway with Volron at its center this time? Could that be what's causing all this strange activity here?
Wait a second. You don't think Volron and the Red Woman are working together, do you? The ceremony can't go forward without the Renis Alma. The same one that the Red Woman stole.
There's something else the ceremony needs. A maiden. And unless there's another one out there aside from me...
Questions, questions, and yet more questions. Ones that it seems will remain unanswered, until we can establish the Sovereign's identity.
If the Forbidden Zone really is off-limits to everyone but the Sovereign, that seems as good a place as any to start. For the sake of liberating Dahna, too.
Then it's decided. That's where we need to go.
One of the citizens mentioned a passage that she thought might lead to another section of the city. It could point us in the right direction. Let's go find it! I didn't realize Renans oppressed their own kind, too.
And yet, weirdly, none of them seem to mind. Am I the only one who finds that strange?
It is the way things have always been, so no one thinks to question it. You have experience in that regard yourself, do you not?
Unquestioning acceptance of your own servitude. Yeah, that sounds about right.
Even so, the quality of life here seems much higher than any Dahnan city we visited. I used to think it was impossible to build an ideal society without wealth. But I suppose having it doesn't always mean people are treated fairly either.
More to the point, not a single citizen seems to have even heard of the Red Woman.
What if she's not here? What if it turns out we're looking in the wrong place entirely?
It's still too early to say anything for sure.
For all we know, she might be able to blend in, move around unnoticed. I say we hold off judgment until we've exhausted every avenue.
Tell me, Dohalim, has that skill of yours got a name?
And what skill would this be, pray tell?
You know, when you're talking to people around town. The way they suddenly become putty in your hands.
I'm afraid I don't quite follow.
I do. It's called friendly intimidation. Look imposing and speak in a deep, booming voice, and presto, you'll have people wrapped around your finger in no time.
I would never stoop to such scandalous tricks. Any feelings of intimidation are solely in the eye of the beholder.
So there is a knack to it! How do you learn it? Can anyone do it?
Now you've got me curious. Is there special training to master?
Let's see. An obsession with being elegant is a must. Oh, and it helps to be old-fashioned, too. Bonus points if you speak in a way no one can understand.
If you've a bone to pick with me, it'd be quicker to just come out and say it.
What? They look up to you, that's all. I'm just helping them along.
Hey! What's got into Alphen and Law all of a sudden?
I can barely understand a word they're saying. And what's with the weird poses? Was it something they ate?
I hope you're willing to take the blame for this one.
I wasn't expecting them to take me so seriously. I'll go and have a word with them.
With nobody left to run the show, I wonder what the people here are supposed to do. I mean, they're sovereigns up on the Renan homeworld, and all their lords were sent to Dahna.
But Dohalim was a lord, right?
Only current acting lords have power. Renan society is quite strict about such matters.
Even if the other lords were still around, I doubt they'd be able to do much about the situation.
Wonder what they'd think if they were here to see Lenegis now. Balsif, Ganabelt, Almadria, and Volron. Now that I think of it, aside from Dohalim, we know next to nothing about the other lords.
Well, yeah, why would we? To us Dahnans, they were just enemies we needed to overthrow. Nothing more.
I know. But seeing Renans in their own city, going about their day-to-day lives, it gets you thinking.
It feels strange to imagine the lords living here too, you mean?
Yeah, a little.
If you're that curious about them, why not try inquiring with some of the locals? Every lord in their household has their share of supporters here on Lenegis. And luckily for us, the people here are unaware of the events on Dahna, which means they should be more inclined to talk to us.
Yeah!
Balsef had it in him to care about someone other than himself? Really?
It's possible. A change in position can do much to alter one's perspective.
So even he might have had to...
I guess she intended to spread it throughout all of Lenegis then.
Good thing the lines were down so she couldn't.
It almost sounded like she was praising them too.
Maybe there was more to the guy than at first glance.
I shall refrain from commenting.
What?
Ganabelt was so horrible to people. Yet he was invested in helping Rena succeed. Doesn't that seem just a little inconsistent?
I'm perhaps biased in this matter, I admit. However, in my mind, while all lords vie to become the next sovereign, they're also meant to serve as guardians of all of Rena.
It seems like Ganabelt also had people he cared about until the very end.
So why couldn't he extend that to us Dahnans?
This area doesn't look as badly damaged as that other district we went through.
Indeed.
Pardon me.
I guess her willingness to stoop to any low came from a survival of the fittest worldview.
And some people here not only shared her belief, but championed it as morally right, too.
That doesn't make it true. Too bad they couldn't see through her.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. Okay.
Seems like the people on Lenegis don't really know much about Volron either.
I remember being quite surprised when the Lord of Ganeth Heros changed so abruptly.
Didn't you have any doubts that something suspicious was going on?
On the contrary. Remember, we Renans are raised to accept everything at face value.
When you think about it, the families of Renan lords must see them differently than the rest of us.
Yeah, despite the brutality they're known for.
They must have had a lot on their shoulders, carrying all the weight and responsibilities of Renan society.
Renans live in a world where strength and power determine their position in the social hierarchy, so they tend to grow up fiercely competitive. But their loyalty to their people is also strong. It's what brings them together against outside forces, and nothing exemplifies that more than the Lords.
That's what makes them the guardians of all of Rena, so to speak.
Right. It's the same reason Balsif hated my guts, and Ganabelt went after you. Because we're threats to Rena.
Guess that makes you an even bigger oddball than we thought.
So, Alphen, have you gained anything from all of this?
Yeah. I think it's made me realize that the Lords were all people, too. Balsif and the others, they all had their own circumstances to deal with as they went through life.
Yeah, but still, just because they had loved ones in their lives doesn't mean...
I know. What they did was horrible. I'm not trying to dispute that. But at the same time, they weren't incomprehensible monsters either. They were individuals, just like the rest of us. So I guess what I'm trying to say is...
You're saying that they weren't bad because they were Renans, or because they were terrible monsters. Even if they did terrible things, they were still just people.
Rinwell.
Am I wrong?
Not at all.
Being a Dahnan doesn't make you a good person. And being a Renan doesn't make you a bad one. I think that's something we've all seen.
Xion and Dohalim definitely make a good case for it.
And I'm going to keep doing my best to make sure I earn that trust. As a fellow human being above all else.
There's something I just don't get.
What is it?
The crown contest itself has always gone ahead as planned, right? In which case, the current sovereign of Rena should be whoever it was that won the previous contest.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, who was it then?
Hanfried Milgras, the former Lord of Cislodia, if memory serves.
So then this Hanfried whatchamacallem, he's the current ruler of Rena?
The last I heard, yes. Though, admittedly, I haven't actually seen him since the end of the previous contest.
You're saying that ever since becoming sovereign, he's never actually shown himself on Lenegis?
I guess over holocom maybe, but not in the flesh. Same thing goes for the sovereign that came before him.
Now that you mention it, I don't recall anyone ever visiting Lenegis from the motherland, sovereign or otherwise.
And that never struck you as a little bit odd?
When you live here, it's as if you're conditioned not to notice all these strange quirks and discrepancies. The question is then, by whom? And to what end?
A new Renis Alma is supposedly created to coincide with every crown contest, meaning each victor is awarded their very own. In other words, if that's true, there should be as many of the things out there as there have been contests.
True, but going on what we witnessed in Pelagian, it didn't look like the sort of thing that could be made to order. But if even the victor's speeches have been part of some grand deception, then where are they? Quite frankly, I'm not even sure what to believe anymore.
You and me both. Though we are Renan by blood, neither of us even knew that such a thing as a Dark Master Corps existed, remember?
With any luck, the Forbidden Zone might give us some answers.
No use standing around here chatting about it then. Let's get a move on.
Doe?
Faria.
Varia? Isn't that the person that Avakir guy was...
But why are you here? Wait, don't tell me you've given up on the crown contest and come crawling back home from Dahna already. Nothing to say? Even though you were willing to kill Tarnigan to secure your position as Lord, you still...
Kill?
I'm here to take care of something. If you wish to continue this conversation, I only ask that you wait until I'm finished.
Oh, of course. You always did prefer to take the coward's way out. Even after 7 years and living on that Dahnan rock, you haven't changed one bit. But let me tell you, I haven't changed either. Not a day's gone by the past 7 years that I haven't hated you.
If killing me will bring you peace, then so be it.
Dohalim, what the hell are you saying?
First, I have business to take care of. If it's vengeance you seek, I will grant you it. But you must wait. My sins are legion. Let me finish what I came to do. Then you have my word. I will let you do whatever brings you peace.
Sure, that's it. Run away like always. You don't even have the courage to die. No wonder you leave it to someone else. You're just a coward!
Dohalim.
I apologize that you had to witness that.
Is it true? What she said about you killing someone?
Each of us have our pasts. I am no exception.
Before, back in Menancia, you mentioned having taken a friend's life over the throne. Is that what she meant?
The mistakes I made there were not my first, and may not be my last. I will say no more.
Did you mean what you said? About letting her take your life if she wanted to?
She has more right to my life than anyone.
But you can't just...
Whatever happens, I have sworn to put an end to the crown contest and to ensure continued coexistence in Menancia. I have no intention of expiring before I do so. There are far too many questions I still seek answers to. Besides, you have just as much reason to kill me as she does.
Dohalim!
Forgive me. Some things are best left unsaid.
Wow, this place is beautiful!
Yeah, it must be some sort of rest and leisure area for the locals.
You think? Man, these Renan sure know how to live it up, don't they?
Is something the matter, Dohalim?
Before I went down to Dahna, my friends and I, we used to gather at this very spot and play music together. Avakir, Faria, and Tarnagin. That was a lifetime ago now.
Tarnagin. He was the one that Faria mentioned, right?
He was once my dearest, closest friend. As well as Faria's betrothed. Despite Faria's lower-class upbringing, she possesses a tremendous talent for music. Entranced by her playing, I helped her overcome her sense of inferiority and introduced her to Tarnagin and Avakir. It was a time of great joy. 4 people bound only by their love of music, with no care for social standing. Only the next song, the next melody.
A friendship based on mutual respect, and a society where everyone is a prisoner to their social class. You really are different, Dohalim.
I suppose it's natural you would see it as strange.
I would have, once. Now, I think the idea of breaking away from society's constraints and choosing your friends based solely on affection is something beautiful that's worth cherishing. Besides, it was that way of looking at the world that laid the foundations for coexistence in Menancia.
Your praise does me too great an honor. I was merely following the wishes of my own heart. And even then, it only lasted until the crown contest began. After that, Tarnagin and I became fierce competitors for the position of Lord. Tarnagin had fallen for Faria. By becoming Lord, he aimed to wrest her from her humble origins and raise her to the highest echelons of society. But fate was not so benevolent.
What happened?
Tarnigan was no match for me in combat. On a level playing field, he wouldn't have stood a chance. But he was desperate and low on options, and he couldn't stand the thought of defeat.
You mean he resorted to dirty tactics to try to win, right? But then why does Faria think... Wait, don't tell me she doesn't know.
How could I tell her? Combined with the trauma of losing her beloved, and by her friend's hand, no less, she would have been devastated.
So instead you let her go on hating you, so she could use that hate as a crutch for her grief?
That's not the same as running away, though.
It is exactly the same. Unable to face the loss of my friend and the burden of my duty, instead I decried my fate and looked away from what I'd done. As for what happened after, that you already know.
But if you hadn't become Lord, Menancia wouldn't be what it is now. The Dahnans there would still be suffering under Renan oppression like before.
Shion's right. What other lord would have treated me as you did? Anyone else and I would have been dead long ago. You've saved so many people, Dohalim. You saved me. It's thanks to you that I'm here today. So, try not to blame yourself. The burden you've placed on your own shoulders is too much for anyone to bear.
Frank as always. But I shall do my best to heed your advice.
Do you think he'll be all right?
Yeah, I think so. He's got Kisara.
It's important to have someone like that.
I didn't realize how difficult it is just to be there for someone.
Sometimes just knowing someone's on your side can be enough. And he knows, Shion. I promise he does.
I hope you're right. Alphen.
Yeah?
I never appreciated until recently just how much you were always there to support me.
It goes both ways. You've helped me keep going more times than I can count.
Maybe, but I still wanted to say thank you.
I see a medic and supply officer over there. If they know you're with me, they'll likely offer their assistance.
Have you... guys checked your equipment lately?
Damn it! Lenegis soldiers!
Any way we can avoid fighting them?
That all depends on them. Whatever happens, be ready.
Well, so much for them not wanting to fight.
Oh! I am Lord Dohalim of Elder Menencia. I command you.
The rest of the city must be erased.
No. Have they been brainwashed too?
Brainwashed or not, if they want to fight, they got one.
Laser clear! See what happened there is it'll split it open!
Beam. I guess. Eat them! Damn it! Now, while it's reeling!
Take it down!
Lightning Wyvern! Fire support!
Healing circle!
I'll crush you! Lightning reflexes! Tenebrous claw! I'm
Lightning Wyvern! Take this!
Do it! This ends now!
Consider yourself finished! Lightning!
I can carve through armor!
Freezing! Do it!
Take! Blow them away!
Those soldiers seem different from the citizens we've come across so far.
Yeah, they weren't big talkers, that's for sure. They just attacked without warning.
They weren't in the least bit fazed by Dohalim's presence either.
Indeed. They seem to recognize us as enemies, nothing more. And yet, traditionally, Lenegis hasn't been high on threats. A few frenzied Zeugles during experiments here and there, but not much else.
Their glazed-over eyes reminded me of the soldiers and slaves we met back in Ganath Haros. The ones in blind devotion to Volron.
I've never seen anything like that here on Lenegis before.
Maybe someone doesn't want us here, and the soldiers are their way of letting us know.
What with the Red Woman, the Sovereign, and Volron, we're starting to develop quite the growing list of adversaries. At least we'll know to keep our wits about us.
further!
Can't get out of this!
Dragon Kick!
Lunar Corruption!
Talon
Dance in the wind! Sleep now!
Azure
I'll
Storm!
be saving this
Rising Wyvern! No escape!
Lunar Corruption!
Damn it! It's too fast!
Stand back. I'll trip it up.
Annihilation!
Shockwave Flash! Rising Wyvern! Strike! Void Flash!
Now!
River!
Astral Energy!
Say no more!
My turn! Hear my call!
Shockwave Flash!
Glacial Spear!
Rising Wyvern!
1,000 gales! Carry it as laser!
Shockwave Flash!
Power of flame!
Eagle Fly!
Light Astral Energy!
Here it goes! Shockwave Flash!
Dance in the wind!
Rising Wyvern! Rising Storm!
My turn!
Shockwave Flash! Rising Wyvern!
I'm just getting started! Do it! Magic is there! This one's got your name on it!
Action to action.
Lady Fortune must truly be watching over me.
An opponent like this should be easy. Try harder! My turn! No escape!
Down on the ground.
Celestial
Try harder! Not a chance! Strike! Shockwave Flash!
Elusive beam. Tornado drive.
Rising Wyvern! Strike! Void Flash!
You up far.
No escape! Shockwave Flash! Rising Wyvern! I'm not done! Rising Falcon! Shockwave Flash! Alright, but this fight ends here! Gotta go faster!
Now, Asuna.
You're mine!
Everlasting dawn.
Shine! Radiant light! Shockwave Flash! Try harder! Not a chance!
Regenerate!
Strike!
Allow me to help you.
Shockwave Flash!
Igneous discharge!
Allow me to
Try
help.
harder! My turn!
Nose gone. Break this.
Magic is in!
You picked the wrong fight!
Think you can fly?
Down on the
Shockwave
ground.
Flash!
Demon Blast.
Rising Wyvern!
Eagle Ray.
No escape!
Now,
Void Flash!
I'll be
Try harder! My turn! Try harder! You're mine! I'm not done!
piercing roar!
Try harder! Now!
Raging Luna Storm.
Going in!
I'm not done! Rising Wyvern!
Fairy Circle.
I'm nearly done for. You're mine! Strike!
Tiger Blade!
Azure Storm! Rising Wyvern!
Lunar Orb!
Tear!
Light Astral
Rising Falcon! I'll burn it all! Ah! Flaming Pillar! Fire!
Falling Storm!
Shine. Radiant light.
You're
Piercing
my
roar.
ball.
Regeneration.
Raging Cascade!
Regenerate. My turn!
How about this?
Take
Allow me to
this!
Here goes!
No escape!
Piercing Magic is out!
Strike! Burn it out!
Steel!
Azure
I'll be
Storm!
amazing this one!
Rising
Mega
Wyvern!
Rain!
Kisara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
Everyone's still in one piece?
Little help!
I know you want to help!
Break this night. Armor won't save you. Resonate with the earth. Stalagmite.
Take this!
That may prove a thorn in our side.
For my lord! Rising
Lightning strike!
The enemy will fight too.
We'll soon see about that!
Easy and snare to me.
I can do this.
We're not finished! Me!
Kisara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone! My turn!
Eagle Ray!
Escape!
Hurricane Strike!
Can't get out of this!
Lightning Strike!
You're mine!
Lunar Arc! Make it rain!
My exploits are bearing fruit.
Right, here goes!
You've got spirit!
Burn it out!
Switch Damn it!
Here I come!
Switch
How are we gonna keep this up for exactly?
Now you learn!
Here I come! No escape!
Vacuum Blade! Hurricane Strike!
Let's go! You're mine!
Magic is there! Bruce Lancer! Dance in the wind!
Flash!
Feel!
Rising Falcon! Chocolate Flash!
One more!
I can do
Last
this!
shot!
Lunar Arc!
Rising Falcon!
Bruce Lancer! You get
You're mine!
in here!
No escape! Chocolate Flash! Last shot!
Now for something special!
Their arcs were interrupted!
Bruce Lancer!
You're mine!
Can you take it?
Chocolate Flash!
This one's all
Elusive
mine!
deity!
Shading Pile
Last
Driver!
shot!
Soaring Make it rain!
Kisara! Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone!
I feel sprightlier than before.
Those soldiers don't seem to have any qualms about attacking on...
Coming through! You're mine!
Tiger Blade!
Deity! Not today!
Can you take it? Time to shine!
As if the normal creepy crawlies aren't disgusting enough.
Elusive deity! You're mine! Chocolate Flash!
Charge like that could easily be fatal.
Just as well, I'm here to stop. Look sharp!
You're mine!
Lightning Strike!
I'll be saving this
Here I come!
Glacial
I'm not
Fire!
done!
Grind you into dust!
Try harder! Not a chance! Elusive deity! Chocolate Flash!
Holy Land!
Begin! My turn! The flame inside me! Yours! To be let free! Burn in hell! Elusive deity! Chocolate Flash!
Holy Land!
On your knees! Fearing Gale!
Lunar Arc!
Air pressure! You're mine! I'm not done!
Holy Glimmer! Holy Land!
Bloody howling! On your knees!
Bloody howling!
Try harder!
Fantastic!
You're mine!
My clothes are ruined.
Chocolate Flash!
All right, let me at him.
Regenerate! Shock! Not fair! Try harder! My turn! I'm not done! I need mercy!
Denied!
You're mine!
Piercing Roar! I'll take you all on! Ha! Flare Demolitor!
Take this!
Glacial Fire!
Chocolate Flash! Ignite!
Piercing
I
Roar!
can ghost you! Chocolate Flash!
Down on the ground! Time to shine!
Last mistake!
Soaring Blast!
Eagle Ray! Lightning strike! Here I come! Struck! Piercing roll!
Plasma shock!
Falling
Storm! Searing gale!
Piercing roll!
Take this!
Bestow thy mystic
Chocolate flash!
You get the gist.
Leave the charges to
Leave
me!
it out.
Make it rain!
Kisara!
Commander of Heaven!
Phoenix Cyclone! So close for comfort. Out of my way! Bring him!
Not on my watch.
Bombardment!
You're
mine!
Ruin it!
Can't get out of this!
Tiger Blade!
Is it too late to talk over our differences?
Engaging!
Ungone!
Lightning on raging ready.
Searing gale!
Make it rain!
Look sharp! Lightning Tiger Blade! Now! Take this!
Leveling. Waterfall.
Lightning Falcon!
That's my cue.
Shut him down!
More for the showtime.
Look sharp!
Try harder! Now! I'm not done!
Going
Locked and loaded! Double me! In an instant! Impact block!
Blah, blah, blah.
Snake, wait! Everyone hanging in there?
Hi, Hoodle.
Can't get out of this!
Friend.
You're mine!
Dance is confiscated.
Chocolate kill!
I can't let the hatred consume me.
Inferno!
The flame
Take
will
this!
in here. More for the stockpile.
I can carve through armor!
Raging
My
storm.
deal is over! Rending you apart! Plasma shock!
Now you've gone and ticked me off!
Eat dirt! Stalagmite! Rising! Here I go! Regenerate! the force!
I'll take you all on! Ha! Flare the Malisa! Crumble!
Bestow thy mystic mercy! Chocolate flash! Chocolate flash! I'm not done! Chocolate flash! We're not finished! Chocolate flash!
Here goes.
Penumbra! This fight ends here! Gotta go faster! Now, Asuna!
Right.
Begin! Here I come! Listen! Chocolate flash! No escape! Damn it, Bennett! Here I come! No escape! Chocolate flash! Already double me! In an instant! Impact block!
A hard-won victory.
This must be it. The entrance to the Forbidden Zone.
But it's just a wall. How do we get through?
Whoa, we? I thought this was Sovereigns only.
Alphen.
Yes! It opened!
Interesting. If Alphen's presence still opens the way, it would seem the Sovereign of 3 centuries ago and now are considered one and the same.
What?
What the?
Alphen.
You again.
Tomorrow's the spirit channeling ceremony. We'll finally play our parts as the Sovereign and Maiden. How have you been feeling?
What am I sovereign of? Shuffled from lab to lab, always treated like an experiment. Whenever they look at me, all they see is a Dahnan. I don't even know what their precious ceremony's for, let alone what they're going to force me to do as the Sovereign. Tell me, if we're both in the same boat, why do you seem so calm right now?
No choice. Becoming the Maiden's not something I wanted for myself. But they said Rena's prosperity depended on it. How could I say no after that?
Still, as a Renan, at least you got to decide. Good for you. Meanwhile, I was taken from my homeland. You aren't the captive one here.
It isn't right what they did to you, and I'm sorry for what it's worth. When this is over, I swear I'll help you get home. I can't do this alone. One more day.
How could I say no to that? It's not like I have any choice in the matter anyway. So, what's your name?
It's Naori. Naori Imaris. Try to remember this time.
You don't act like them. Like the other Renans, I mean. How come you treat me like a person?
Because you are. It's true we come from different worlds. But neither one of us asked to be here right now. In that sense, you and I are much the same. We couldn't do this. We wouldn't be able to talk to each other as people if we didn't see the humanity in each other.
So I suppose the question you should be asking is, why wouldn't I treat you like one?
You're not like the others.
Maybe they're not like me.
Here's what we'll do. We give them their damn ceremony. You get me to Dahna. That'll be the end of it. I'm taking you at your word on this. I'm trusting you, not them. Naori.
What the hell just happened?
That vision. Did everyone else see it too?
That person Alphen was speaking to, she looked exactly like Shion.
It was Naori. Naori Imaris. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's right.
She really does look like Shion. I'm beginning to see why Alphen was so confused.
That's all very well and fine, but what did we just witness exactly? It was too real to be a mere hallucination.
It was a conversation we had 300 years ago. The night before the ceremony.
You mean all of that really happened? We just saw an episode straight out of your past?
But how is that even possible? Unless... Could this be the Red Woman's handiwork too?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
You guys didn't feel it? The moment the entrance opened, It was like a stream of Dahnan astral energy rushing over us.
I felt it too. And not for the first time either. It was the same sensation as back inside the wedge.
That would make sense. After all, vast amounts of Dahna's astral energy were being siphoned and sent up here to Lenegis. For all we know, perhaps we're close to the spot where all that energy was stored.
So you think it might have been the energy itself that was responsible for that vision we just saw? But how? And why?
We have no way of knowing. Maybe it's not even as deliberate as all that.
Shion, you okay?
Yeah. It was all just a little sudden. That's all. So that was my ancestor, huh? It was like looking into a mirror.
Yeah, there certainly is a resemblance.
What about you? How are you holding up?
Me?
Even putting aside the question of where that vision came from, it's likely we'll see more of those. Reliving painful episodes from your past. Do you think you can handle it?
I can't just pretend like the past never happened. Besides, if it helps us uncover the truth of what that ceremony really was, it might also lead to answers about your thorns.
Alphen.
That's not all. This whole time, we've been fighting to free Dahna from the Renans. But now that we're here, it seems those same Renans might have it just as bad. I'd like to liberate them too if I can. Which is just another reason I can't afford to shield my eyes from the truth.
Whether you're on Dahna or somewhere else, you always stay the same. Your indignation and righteous passion, your desire to free and protect, they're all hardwired into you. Not that I'm complaining. Come on, let's bust this thing wide open.
Nobody's here.
Stay sharp. After that last illusion. There's no telling what could happen in here.
Faria, how did you get in here?
Wait, something about her isn't right.
What's wrong with her? She doesn't even seem to know where she is.
Yeah, you're right. She looks just like the soldiers we encountered outside.
A summoning?
But that's preposterous. She never had that kind of power when—
We can talk later. Here it comes!
What? I've never known Faria to control Zeugles like that before.
How about with a stone that looks suspiciously like a master core?
What the? Where did she get her hands on that?
First we handle the Zeugles, then we get some answers.
Aim for the weak point! Indian, discard! Burn in hell!
More for the sapphire!
Dazzling spin!
More with that
Tiger blade!
First! Lightning orb!
Piercing roar!
Illuminated blah blah blah!
Shockwave blast! Here goes!
Try harder! My turn!
Strike!
Shine!
Shockwave light up the dark! I'm ready to go!
Don't suffer in
Feel.
silence.
You're mine!
Don't suffer in
You're mine!
silence.
Shockwave blast! Blast the down!
Shine! Radiant light! Force of regeneration!
Flaming meteor!
Inferno crossing! Think you can fly?
No dawn. It's in your hands now.
Here I come!
Falling storm!
Void blast! Burn in hell! You're mine! Right!
More with that hurricane foot!
Strike! Shockwave strike!
Lunar Blade Lancer! You get more! Field!
Thanks!
More for the stockpile! Blah 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 magic!
You're mine! Done!
Use this weak point to take it down.
All together, everyone!
This one astral energy!
Try harder!
My turn!
Elusive deity!
Spin!
Lightning control! Holy
Raging Luna! I'm ready! Double me! In an instant! Impact block!
Benediction light.
Take this!
Switch off!
Shockwave strike! All mine!
Dance in the wind!
Inferno crossing! This one's mine!
Astral energy!
Searing gale!
It's about to strike!
Stop, everyone! Let's try harder! My turn! No escape! Not today!
Wind astral energy!
Try harder! Now!
Shine!
Radiant try harder! My turn!
Raging cascade!
Shockwave strike!
Dance in the wind!
He who prepares.
Try harder! Not a chance! Shockwave strike!
I'm ready to go!
Last lift up!
Banquet
Going in!
Heal! There!
Guardian field! I'm ready to
Last
go!
lift up!
Captivity!
Here I come! Get void blast!
I'll stop its charge!
Thanks, Isara! Light astral raging cascade!
Vacuum blade!
Spread!
Their arms were interrupted!
Last lift up!
No arts of being interrupted.
Searing gale!
Captivity!
Lightning raging cascade!
This is some
You'll pay for
punishment.
that! This is looking grim. Hold tight!
We've been through far worse before.
Right, time to turn the tide!
Resuscitation!
This should do it!
Penumbra! Fading fire! The earth throbs in pain.
Inferno!
I still got some fight left in me.
I'll grind you into dust!
Illuminate the blah blah blah.
There!
Nothing gets by
Go
me!
for it, illuminate magic
You're
and
on!
then- Holy Land, here goes!
The enemy's reeling!
Complacency is the root of carelessness.
Point taken! Stay sharp, everyone!
Not today!
Dance to the wind!
Here I come!
Feel!
Heal!
Lightning strike!
Shockwave
More
blast!
from the stockpile! Magic
Time
is
to
there!
shine!
Crossblade!
Stop!
The abyssal deep clear for us a path.
Wide open!
It won't escape me.
Infernal turret!
Burning
Vacuum blade!
Malevolent! Magic is
Searing
there!
blade!
Do it
Out
now.
of pain! You're finished!
I'll be saving
There!
this one!
Free from regret.
Now!
Double in an instant! Impact block!
Now it's just her!
Faria! Can you hear me? Faria!
She's preparing another summoning!
The art she's casting is way too powerful to control. At this rate, her body won't be able to take much more.
ToA Lenegis!
Forgive me.
Man, I thought we were goners.
Everything okay?
Yes. She's only unconscious.
Not her. I meant you.
Shion, please. Can you treat her?
I can try, but I can't promise she'll be back to her real self when she wakes up. All I can do is heal her physically.
We're not even supposed to be in here. Maybe it'd be better if we moved her to somewhere a little safer. Don't you think?
In that case...
I'll take her off your hands.
You? Avakir, what are you doing here?
I was curious what you were up to, so I took the liberty of following you to find out. I overheard what you said about Tarnigan, about how he really died. I'm sorry, I had no idea.
And you believed me? What makes you so sure I wasn't lying?
I like to think I know you a little better than that, Dohalim. Give me some credit. I'll take Faria. Leave her with me. I know better than to ask what you're up to. But whatever it is, I hope it all works out.
Thank you.
He seems like a good friend.
He hasn't changed. He never was one to stand out. Instead, he was always hanging back, worrying about everyone else. As for Faria, it's always the closest to me who get hurt.
You don't seriously blame yourself for what happened to her, do you?
Somebody got to her, to strike back at me. Someone who knew me well enough to know that I'd hesitate to fight back. And the same goes for you as well. Neither you nor Faria would have lost loved ones, if it wasn't for me.
You're wrong. Kelzelik was the one who killed my brother, under orders from Almadria. As for Tarnigan, if it weren't for the crown contest, he'd still be alive. That and the whole damn hierarchy that makes it possible. But that's why we're fighting. To put an end to this whole messed up system that treats people as expendable.
Indeed. Ridding society of this blight is really the only way I know how to atone for my sins.
You can't atone, Dohalim. I know it hurts to hear, but those people are dead. No amount of soul-searching or trying to make amends is going to change that. Forgiveness, acceptance, those ships have sailed.
So I just forget the harm I caused?
No, the opposite, in fact. You remember. You never forget. You keep it in your heart always. And then you go on living. Not for those already passed, but for those still alive.
For those still alive.
Kisara's right. So long as we've still got breath in our bodies, we can make a difference in the lives of others. Lives being the operative word.
That's what living's all about. Being able to still make a difference. Punishing yourself for the past won't make the pain of your conscience go away.
Only fixing the problem in its stead. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. You have to live for tomorrow, Dohalim, not for yesterday. And not only that, you need to live for yourself, and for the change that you still can be.
I shall try.
Don't forget, we've still got a mystery to solve. The Forbidden Zone, remember?
Shion.
Huh?
Thank you. You have my deepest gratitude for what you did for Faria.
Glad to be of service.
I'm glad we could stop Faria without hurting her.
You all did much for her as well. I'm most grateful.
Shucks. We're on the same team, right? Let's move on.
Do you think Faria was really being controlled by someone?
Certainly seemed that way. The question is, who? The Red Woman?
The same person who's behind all of this, I'll bet. Whoever that is.
Brainwashed or otherwise, the feelings of resentment she holds towards me are real.
Someone used her because they knew we'd hold back. If that's not playing dirty, I don't know what is.
It does tell us one thing at least. Someone here in Lenegis is watching us. Someone who means us harm.
There's no question. That attack was meant for us alone.
By someone capable of getting inside a person and manipulating them like a weapon. We need to find whoever it is, fast.